Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Tech Leaders Unplugged. And today we are getting once again unplugged, this time with Brandon Afari, the co founder and CEO of FUZE Technology. Brandon, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
And of course, Wade Erickson, my fellow teammate and co-host, and co-hosting today. Welcome, Wade, again as ever.
Hello, everyone. Thank you.
Let's get it started. All right. So let's start with you, Brandon. Tell us us and the audience a little bit about you and your background, anything you want to say about yourself. And then, of course, we're going to ask you about the company, but tell us a little bit about you first. Let's start there, please. And again, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, guys. Quick backstory. As you mentioned, co-founder, CEO of FUZE Technology. Before this venture, I actually am a CPA by trade. Not many people know that. But graduate school at USC, I am a diehard Trojan, kind of like you, Wade. Went on, I did the corporate thing for a little bit. I was at Deloitte, left Deloitte. I entered this world of entrepreneurship over the last 5-6 years. I've been an entrepreneur through and through. So worked on a few ventures before co-founding what is now FUZE and Charge FUZE. But it's been quite an exciting journey getting to where we are today. So
there you are. Thank you so much, Brandon. And okay, now tell us a little bit about the company itself, FUZE Technology. What do you guys do? What's your value proposition?
Yeah, so FUZE Technology, we're in the heart of IoT, Internet of Things. This is all basically in a world of hardware, software integrations. I won't, bore you guys with the details of it, but really where we are is we're building a platform for hardware products. The product that is out and open today that we're talking about right now is Charge FUZE, which essentially is similar to like the city bikes and bird scooter models, where instead of locating scooters, you're actually locating charging stations, where guests and users can rent a portable charger that has all 3 charging functionalities built into it to charge any device. And you as a user can actually drop this power bank at any station in our network. So if you're at a stadium venue in Los Angeles or in New York, you could rent a charger, watch the sporting event, watch the concert, leave the concert, take this with you and drop it off at the local bar that's right around the corner. So we've really created this network, and the company of FUZE Technology is all about hardware products that offer convenient solutions for people.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Brandon. All right, now let's move on to the topic itself. As chosen by you, we're going to be talking about innovating while scaling an IoT company. We're going to be discussing intricacies in prioritizing innovations while executing on current strategies. All right, so this is an interesting topic. So let's start with that. Why did you choose this particular topic, and why did you feel it was relevant for today's day and age? Please, thank you.
Yeah, so I think, the last 10 years, especially in the world of venture, we've seen and heard of so many hyper-growth startups. I think now we're kind of pivoting into a time where you're going to see, some startups make it and some startups simply don't. And really the reason is because, it's all predicated on how you scale, and at the same time, how you prioritize. And I think, one of the most exciting things of what we've done today is we're dabbling in a lot of different products. We're dabbling in a lot of industries. And the balancing act that we face as a company too is, how do we continuously scale with the strategies that we set forth for the team, while behind the scenes innovate for 2 years from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now. So I think that is, one of the challenges many companies face. I think it's one of the things that we, focus on as a company. It's how do we scale correctly? At the same time, how do we provide innovative solutions that don't hinder our growth? You have to be focused. You have to prioritize correctly. And I think that's what, hyper growth is all about. Yeah.
Oh, you're on mute, I think. Carlos.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, goes with the territory, today's day and age. All right, so thank you again, Brandon. And Wade, I think you had some questions you want to take over.
Yeah. So, to stay on the topic here, the IoT space has been, like you said, 10 years or so as a moniker, and really looking at tracking, small, even the size of your pinky, little transmitters and those kind of things, all the way up to, like you said, bikes and scooters and those kind of things that then allowed you to look at mobile chargers, which obviously in big cities, when people are moving around and they get low on their phone, that can obviously be very high anxiety. So, I can see where, unlike the scooter craze, that I think was a little bit of a flash there and a trial. You obviously have a need that has been there a long time. So tell me a little bit about some of the things in the IoT space that affect you, and whether it changes in the mobile applications, to the tracking, to the GPS, to all the kinds of things that involved in tracking a small charger, where it's at, how to get it returned, those kind of things.
Yeah. And just to step into, Wade, I guarantee you after this, you're going to be thinking about us 24/7. Every person that comes across our company, they always have this aha moment. And the next thing you know, everywhere they go afterwards, they think, oh my God, I wish I had a charger right now. Oh my God, I wish I had a charge fuse right now. So mark my words, you're going to be emailing me and texting me after this, this interview. But yeah, no. To answer your question, so IoT is just a very intricate space in and of itself. I'd say how our system works, and just to dive a little bit deeper, right? You can interface with our hardware in different ways, but really at the premise of everything is you could actually download our app. You could locate a station anywhere in your city, right? We have all different station types for, again, restaurants, for casinos, for hospitals, for stadium venues, all different sizes. You could pick up and drop off from any station type as well, and that's how the ecosystem works. All our stations run in a standalone fashion, right? So it has its own 4G built-in connection, Wi-Fi enabled as well. But really, the premise of IoT, it is connectivity, right? It's how do you create devices in a network and an ecosystem where you're able to get data from these stations via an actual connection. Right? That's what keeps the whole ecosystem afloat. So it's a very, very, very intricate industry, especially because it's evolved so much over the last 5 to 10 years. And I think where we pride ourselves is we're building a platform for success more than anything. So everything we have is built in house. We've built out custom solutions for our own connections with our stations and our systems. And the goal is you always have to make sure that your ecosystem is up and running 99.9% of the time. So you have to have full control. You have to make sure you're optimizing things constantly so that you can give that simple experience of someone just coming to a station, scanning the QR code, and renting this charger, right? So you guys see it as a charger pops out. We see it as a bunch of things happening, behind the scenes to allow you to have that single experience.
And you say platform, so I there's many things that we might want to track in life, right? And make a business around. So are you looking to take this platform that right now you have a particular service around mobile chargers? Do you see extending this platform into other rentable, trackable things that you would then either build as a business yourself, or and I'm not going to obviously ask you to share those because that would leak a little bit of some IP there, but I'm intrigued about the platform because you really have two things going on here. Like you said, people focus on the mobile chargers. I look at the platform. That's the gold right there, because you're tracking things, you're making transactions, you're charging for things, you're having deposits for those, and if they don't return them, there's obviously got to be a collection of that, because that's at least a couple, probably $100 device at least, and so tell me a little bit about thinking about those strategies as being an entrepreneur of really two things here. You got the mobile service and the events and all the different venues that you have to negotiate those licenses agreements with, but then you really have a platform that you could expand, that could have been used for the scooters. It could have been used for the bikes, had you wanted to move in that direction. So tell me a little bit about that thinking you got going on.
Yeah, so I'd say short term, medium term, this is obviously the focus. Reason why is just because of need. I think you referenced it before too. Even if you can compare us to like the scooter companies out there, I think there's a difference between like an amenity and an actual need. And phone charging is an actual necessity. Again, whether you're at a festival, an event, you name it, it really is a necessity. And the way we're looking at things right now is, and this goes back into the scaling piece and prioritization piece. We do have different product lines that we're looking into down the road, 2024, 2025. But I think for us right now, we're really hyper focused on getting this product out there. We do have a few things that we're going to be launching next quarter and again in 2024. But for now, it's we have a product that relates to everybody, right, as a consumer, and it relates to every venue. So again, a restaurant, a casino, a bar. I just to touch up on some of our partners, right? We're backed by Live Nation. We have national partnerships with Live Nation, ASM Global, Westfield, Simon. So we're working with some of the biggest companies out there, and the reason is because again, there is a need, and they do want this service inside their venues. So right now, it's about us filling that gap. We have quite a ways to go. We're in about give or take 40 states today, but we really are focusing on saturating main markets still. So a lot of growth still. We're really trying to push Charge FUZE, making sure that we provide the best experience for consumers, best experience for venue partners. And from there, I mean, the goal is, as you mentioned, right, it is a platform that we're focusing on. We're trying to focus on scale. What are the future innovations and iterations of this product or even of new products that we plan to launch? And if you focus on building a great platform, there's endless possibilities. So that's how we're looking at it. And we're always focusing, just to reiterate, it's like, where is that highest point of need? So, again, charging is probably the biggest need today, especially with this TikTok generation, Gen Z coming in. But yeah, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, it could vary. And we're planning on, again, new exciting products down the road.
Great. One other question. I wanted to pivot just a little bit away from the company and technology and talk a little bit about you and some of this entrepreneurial, endeavors that you've kind of tackled at a quite young age. You went to USC, go Trojans, and double bachelor's, master's, jumped into Deloitte. I imagine that tax master's is what drew you into Deloitte and their tax services there. And then you jumped into the packaging company, National Packaging Products, and then were the CEO at a young age, which is an achievement in and of itself. Most people never get to have that level their whole career. And then you jumped out and started your own company. Tell me a little bit maybe about the experiences in Deloitte, maybe your upbringing that gave you the courage to take on a CEO position of a company, as well as leave that and then go and do something on your own. That's all very, very heavy confidence for a young person. And maybe there's folks watching that would love to understand how you got to that point.
Yeah, appreciate it. No, I'd say, just give the backstory from when I was, I guess, 18 years old, right? I've always been a very ambitious kid. I've worked on, numerous ventures in the past. And I think it's funny because, when you're in school, right, especially at USC is a great school, right? Phenomenal school. I went there for, my undergrad in business, and I also got my bachelor's in accounting as well. But it's funny when you start out, right, it's, you're focused on the business model and all these like things that, yes, like it does matter, right? But a lot of times most people get stuck in this like modeling world and they don't end up executing. So I'd say that even leading up to FUZE, I've executed on a bunch of things. I've failed at quite a few things. And it's funny because now, like at the stage where I'm at now, it's like all these failures and all these ventures that I kind of push forward on, made this process that much easier. So I do want to like reiterate that like it is very important at a young age to continuously try. And it is not just okay to fail, it is actually very important to fail, because you're never gonna, get your first venture right. It's not possible, right? And it's okay, right? That's how it's supposed to be. But I'd say that, leading up to that, even why I studied accounting, even why I worked at Deloitte, it was actually never to be an accountant in any way. It was, I actually wanted to learn something that was applicable to all businesses. And I will say that like probably the most important thing that I did was I got my dual degrees, right? So I studied accounting on top of business, and then I got my master's in business taxation. And those two things, like to this day, right? Like whether I'm analyzing other companies or whether I'm looking at my own company, when it comes to financial statements, when it comes to the numbers, I know my company inside and out. So when it comes to dealing with investors, when it comes to dealing with internal parties, it's very important to have that foundation. And I do think it was probably the best decision I made at a young age, right? Every entrepreneur is different. People say, you don't need to go to school, start your own business. That's fine too. For me, I think just this particular degree with what I wanted to do and the way my mind works was very, very helpful. So, ironically, I'll say one more thing. The reason why I got my master's is because, I actually at a very young age got my offer at Deloitte. So when I was like 19, when I was a sophomore, junior in college, I did all these like leadership programs. I actually got my offer very early on. And I actually did the master's program because I didn't want to go straight into Deloitte out of undergrad. And I actually got a scholarship for it, a partial scholarship for it. So it was like, okay, you know what, like, let's go into it. Like, I'm not ready to go down the corporate path. And during that time too, there were some small ventures that I was working on, that didn't come to fruition, but it just gave me time. Right. And that's why I did it, because I knew I could manage school and I could manage these other startup ideas. And then, from like a personal standpoint beyond that, because I ended up leaving Deloitte. Yes, I did enter the world of manufacturing. And I'd say like one of the things that was so important, I'd honestly say there's actually two things. Number one, circle of friends. Okay. You go to college, there's different experiences that you get out of it. Some people go for the enjoyment, and that's great. You definitely need to enjoy those 4 years. And some people go for the enjoyment, but they also focus on their future too, right? And you have to understand, like, what do you want to get out of this? And, if you want to go down investment banking, that's great. If you want to go down consulting, that's great. Everything's great. It's all about preference. There's no right answer. But I'd say that the single most important thing for me personally with this endeavor and the last like 6-7 years of going down this world of route of entrepreneurship was surrounding yourself with the right people. And I know that there's numerous books that talk about this, but my entire circle of friends, they're self-made entrepreneurs. It is really crazy to say, but I have people that when they were 25 years old, from zero, right, exited their companies and at a young age, at 25. And I was with them and I was living with them, right, at 22, 23, when we were talking about their venture, I was talking about my venture. And what you have to understand is that it's so important to surround yourself, because when you surround yourself with those people, those types of people, every single day you're talking about your ideas, and every single day you're talking about your issues. So every day when you come home and you're talking about this problem with this company, or I have to make this decision, and these decisions, again, they don't relate to one another, but in some ways they do, right? Because some people, again, there's always similarities from a business standpoint with what an entrepreneur goes through. So, I will say that the most important thing is surrounding yourself with the right people. You have to. And right people can mean different things. Again, it's not always about starting a business. It could be, if you're an artist, right? If you're, again, if you want to be an accountant, right? So be it. But surround yourself with people that, align with this vision that you have for yourself, because it's compounding. It takes time to get to the point where your mind is ready to accomplish what it's meant to accomplish. So I'll say that's the one most important thing. The next most important thing, I'd say for me personally, I was lucky enough to have, a father that, let me kind of pave my own path and really, supported it. And he was, his brain works like an engineer. So he really taught me how to be methodical in my thinking. And I think that was very important because, the way I run our company today, it's a very methodical manner. So I the lessons that he's taught me, to this day have impacted the way I operate my business. Because, I'm not just making decisions in a rushed manner. I'm really assessing things, assessing ROI. And, there's this balancing point too, right? It's, again, at my core, I am an entrepreneur. So there's this balance of intuition, but also analyzing the decisions in front of you, because it is extremely important for, any entrepreneur to not just go in blindly. There's data in front of you, and you see that there's like a world, and sometimes people just say, oh, this sounds right, and they just make that decision. But if you're not doing your part and, taking on the due diligence to ensure that you're actually making the right decision, in my opinion, that's poor entrepreneurship. So you have to really, focus on intuition and also analyzing the decisions to the best of your ability.
Great. Thank you so much again, Brandon. I was listening to you, and I couldn't help but when you mentioned you have to surround yourself with the right people, I couldn't help. This is a little parenthesis. I once watched an interview with the author Wayne Dyer, and his daughter reached out to him for help, and he gave her all this advice, right, on how. And she said, Dad, I'm going through this and this and that. And he said, well, you have to surround with the right people. Just told her the same thing. And she said, that's why I'm reaching out to you, her own father.
Yeah.
So it's like, so I hear you when you say that. So thank you for sharing that part with us, Brandon. There's a couple of things. Well, before we're about to wrap up, unfortunately we're coming up on time. But I want to just briefly touch on the tech part, if I may, on the tech component of the conversation. So we're talking about intricacies in prioritizing innovations while executing on current strategies. Okay, so the first thing that I wanted to ask you is, what would you say that one of the greatest, let's put it this way, greatest hurdles in trying to prioritize innovations while executing on current strategies would be, because you're talking about intricacies. So what are these intricacies you're talking about?
Yeah, I'll tell you, we're at the stage now where, again, we're no longer a startup, right? We're at this like hyper growth stage. And, I'd say a lot of the intricacies and difficulties now, it's really, listening to our customers, and our customers aren't just the people using this. It's also the venues that have our products. So it's taking the information from our customers and understanding, because they don't have the answers. We're supposed to have the answers to what's better, what's newer, where we need to go. So, the ability for us to, and the intricacies really have to do with getting information from these venue partners, these consumers that are using the product, interfacing, just customers as a whole, and taking that back to our product team and understanding, like, what do we want to iterate on, while simultaneously pushing out the new. Because at some point too, you don't want to cannibalize what you're also pushing out at the same time. And you also don't want to slow down the growth by saying, hey, no, we got to stop, roll this new product out, and then start rolling with this, new solution. So the balancing act really comes in with, getting as much information as you can, plugging it into your, product roadmap, and then understanding that you still have to push current strategies out and focus on now, okay, when is the timely manner to launch this new innovation or this new solution or this new product? So this is why it's so intricate, is because it all goes hand in hand. You can't just develop products without understanding the consumers. You can't just, launch a product with not understanding where your current strategies are. So this ecosystem, like internally as a company, is just this wheel that keeps on going. You have to keep on, working on all fronts to make sure that you're doing the right thing at all times.
Great. Awesome. Thank you so much again, Brandon. And before we go, I have a quick announcement to make. So stay with us as we go off the air. Brandon, we're on Friday, we're going to be talking with Peter Mullins. He's the Chief Marketing Officer at SetSail. That's a company platform called SetSail. It's a tech company, software as a service company. The topic is going to be data anchors and charting the course to revenue excellence with sales data mastery. That's what we have for this coming Friday, the 22nd at 9:30 a.m. Pacific, as ever, right here on Tech Leaders Unplugged. And with this being said, The only thing left for me to do, Brandon, is thank you big time for having been with us on the show, having shared your journey, and basically, look forward to being kept abreast of your upcoming endeavors, of course. And that's, again, thank you big time, and again, thank you, Wade, as ever. Okay.
Always.
Thank you guys for having me. All right, appreciate it, guys.
Absolutely. See you next time, and stay tuned for more Tech Leaders Unplugged. Thank you.